Here's another interesting topic. Let's talk about the idea of collectively created thought forms. By thought forms, I mean thoughts that take form. And so let's talk about their construction for a minute. In one of my previous videos, I talked about, what is magic for and how our own thoughts can manipulate reality given that all particles are really energy at their very basic level and how thoughts create reality all the time. Ideas, anything that's been made, from this pool table to this laptop to the TV to all my books and whatnot, they were thoughts in someone's head. And then they were able to manifest themselves because of the physical effort that someone put into it, and therefore they became physical things. Well, the idea behind not only thought forms, but collective thought forms is that thoughts, given that they are energy, can manifest their own energetic form if given enough power. This ties into the collective unconscious where all species share different ideas, and all of our thoughts and things are through our subconsciouses and our individual subconscious. They connect to the universal subconscious. So it's where the universal idea of being afraid of the dark and stuff comes from. And so what I'm talking about here is different things that basically kind of create urban legends or different ideas. So you go to a haunted house, right? If you have a whole bunch of people that have reported seeing ghosts there, one, the more people that report seeing ghosts, it feeds the energy of that idea, and it can even feed the energy of that place. And depending on the description of the ghosts and everything, that can actually feed into what the ghost looks like. On the skeptic side of it, you could say that somebody who kind of believes more that they are going to see something will see something. And that's like the universal skeptical way of being like, oh, it's the power of suggestion and stuff like that. But on this channel, we tend to throw that out, even though we put that on the table. So throwing that out, where's my trash can? Back there. That would have been funny to have a piece of paper and toss it, but maybe I'll save that for a later bit. Anyway, the idea of thought forms is that the more that people believe in them and they feed the idea, that it actually can create that being, because our thoughts, being energy, go out into the universe, and with enough force and belief and stuff, can manifest themselves. And in terms of these different thought forms, I'm talking about things like ghosts and shadow people, or Bigfoot, or even Slender Man. And I mean, I'm not discrediting the idea of Bigfoot being an actual physical creature, because I believe that there are Bigfoot and Magickology and Bookwus and any of the other ones, the different names that they're given, and even the Yeti and stuff. Fun fact: the name Abominable Snowman is not actually a correct translation. It was supposed to be foul-smelling man of the snows, but it was a mistranslation where instead of foul-smelling, it was described as abominable, like scary or whatever. But back to it. So the idea is that, let's take Slender Man, for example. Slender Man was originally formed as just an idea during a contest of some kind on the internet, where it's like, come up with the creepiest thing with the creepiest story, and and I think it also involved pictures and stuff, and Slenderman was honestly one guy's entry to it. And it's spawned like the Marble Hornets series, which if you haven't seen it, it's fantastic. Then there's even a found footage movie based on the Marble Hornets story, and that is a great Slenderman movie. The actual Slenderman movie, too many jump scares and stuff, and come on, jump scares are freaking cheesy. If you're into that, that's such an overly used horror trope. It's like CinemaSins says with the cliches, so I'm not really a fan of those. But given that so many people started to pick up on this idea, you know, different sightings of things like shadow people or whatever and things could have fed into that idea, that energetic idea, and manifested a sighting of the Slender Man, or even things like the Hat Man, or even like the idea behind Death. The guy with the black cloak and a scythe, which I'll get to that in a second if I can remember it. But the main idea is that they their thoughts and their energy feed it into it, and over time those things can become real and concrete, you know because it is real to so many people, and it's runaway run amok energy. A long time ago in one of my videos I referenced the idea of tulpas, and this is not psychological tulpas, and it's not the kind of tulpamancy that I'm talking about in my tulpamancy playlist and such, but the idea that unresolved negativity, even from one person, given if they are, psychically active, or maybe not even psychically active, but that's beside the point. Those unresolved things can actually manifest poltergeist activity. And in one of the episodes of A Haunting, there is the case where someone generated poltergeist activity due to all their unresolved issues. So their negative thoughts and everything actually manifested an entity in their house. Whether you believe this or not is not really my problem in terms of this discussion, but the idea that our thoughts create reality gives the idea of collective thought forms a possibility, which in a magical sense also allows us to work with the different visages of various entities across pantheons and such. I mean, God, Yahweh, whatever, is given a giant presence, and can be worked with, arguably, according to this theory, because so many people believe in that idea that there's been a creation of a God in the collective unconscious. The same thing can apply to any other deity you're talking about. In my in my spiritual path and stuff, we're relating this to the idea of Anu, Enlil, Enki, Marduk, the 50, and all of those. If you want to take a more psychological angle, like a psychomagical perspective. That was my phrase. I invented it, I think. If not, whatever. But it's still fun to use. So even that's why different magical systems can work as long as there is enough belief put into them, because really it's the energy that you force towards something to create that activating moment to cause that change to happen in reality. So getting back to the thought forms and such, enough belief in something can create it to exist. We've even seen the same thing with take Star Wars for example. Enough belief in the idea of that conflict that Palpatine was generating allowed it to manifest and allowed it to happen. We see it all the time with like the problem action solution idea in terms of social difficulties, with somebody saying that there's a problem with such and such, and then the way that you look at that thing is colored by that perspective, and then you only see the problem. So if you go out into the middle of the woods, I'm not doing this, but if you go out into the middle of some deep, dark-ass woods, and you are thinking that you might see a Slender Man or a Bigfoot or something like that, you were kind of sending out an energetic signal to allow that idea to manifest. So if there is a Slender Man out there, given that they are just energetic forms, physical space does not apply to them. So these things feed off of energy, right? So they can either, if they're on their own roaming, they might go towards someone who might be fearful of, generating fear, because that's apparently very tasty to thought forms, negative thought forms anyway. as emotions are tasty, and they might interact with those people to feed off of that fear. And it's almost like diving into the it's like chum in the water for sharks, kind of, where it attracts them. And general fear can attract it, or even thinking that you're going to go out and you're going to find a specific thing might allow you to find that specific thing more. Now, once again, we run into the issue and idea of whether or not that is a self-manifested, oh, you saw that because you were thinking about it, or is it a energetic attraction and energetic magnetism of that thought form, given your thoughts going outside of you and deep within you to the collective unconscious to call on and attract that energetic thought form, that idea that has been fed so much energy that you end up interacting with it. The same kind of thing can happen when we evoke different spirits that, like, everyone's done, that tons of people have done. That's why you hear a lot about, like, the Ouija board and Zozo, right? Or the bad reactions that happen because you're never supposed to ask. I think, what was the I heard about this one time when I was listening to a scary story from one of the YouTube narrators for scary stories. Was like, I don't think you're ever supposed to ask a spirit, like, what hell is like, or something like that, or what the other side is like. It's almost like that particular question, given that thoughts and words are energy, has a trigger attached to it that allows a connection to bad things and negative things to happen. Even the spirit Zozo has just been talked about so often that anytime that anyone goes to a Ouija board, that could occur an interaction with Zozo, either through the ideomotor effect, which, once again, I'm just throwing that on the table, but we're also talking about the idea of just attracting that spirit that's been fed so much energy over so much time by so many interactions and thoughts from other people. So the more people and the more energy that's fed into an idea, the more real it can become. And that's the idea behind collective thought forms. I hope this made sense. Drop it in the comments. Questions, comments, complaints, concerns, issues down below. And thanks for watching my video. So if you want to check out my playlists, I have, among others, the Simon Necronomicon, the Tree of Life, General Magic, Tulpamancy, a playlist on my books, the elements, stones, the theories that govern magic, and the gods and goddesses of Mesopotamia. If you want to check out my books on Amazon, I have Creating Consciousness, Magical Mechanics, Magical Theater, Handy Sigil Magic, and The Guide to the Spheres and Beyond. You can also find me on Facebook at Magickology YT. You can email me at priestofthenecro@gmail.com, and you can even check out my Instagram, which is Magickology. And good hunting.